Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays. Triple M, we're here to talk more Avengers Movie Club. We haven't done it in a little while. We've done two in the past, Scarlett and Chris Evans, but we have not revisited it because we are now in the off season. No more What If, no more Venom. We're waiting until Eternals, which is still a whole month away. Kelsey, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Dale. How are you?
Good. I just had to set the scene for new listeners as to what they were getting this episode,
I
but
getcha. I
I do
getcha.
want to introduce them to you now.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we've been doing this for a while. We're in it.
We're
We're in the
almost a
long haul now.
year
Almost a year. Yeah, we're gonna have to think of like a big year celebration type
anniversary.
thing. Yeah, maybe we'll do like a live show Q&A type thing if we have enough viewers who are willing to watch it. But Kelsey, as always, we do start every episode that's not a movie review with some news of the week. So Kelsey, what is your Marvel news of the week?
Okay, so I saw Shang-Chi again for the
Oh,
second
cool.
time last night.
Cool.
Saw it with James because he hadn't seen it yet, and I was surprised to find that it was still in theaters. And I wanted to go back and watch this movie in theaters and have like a solid movie theater experience with
Oh
this
God, yeah.
movie instead of the disaster we got on opening day. It's
Yep.
fine. I'm not over it. And there was just one specific detail that I wish I had caught on during the first time I saw the movie.
Is this
In
like
the
a spoiler thing that we should tell people to skip if they haven't
Oh,
seen it?
yeah, this spoils the second end credit scene.
Okay, so I will here I'll put a spoiler ban. There we go. So when this is gone, when that is gone, you guys can continue. But yeah, Kelsey, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about one of
Oh,
the
and
end
and, and
credit
audio,
scenes.
audio podcast listeners, I will put in the description when the spoiler part ends. Go ahead, Kelsey.
Great. So in the beginning of the movie, I was paying attention. It was my second rewatch. I was taking in all like the details that I didn't get the first time. And they specifically say in the beginning when the mother's narrating that the 10 rings has always been at the helm of a man, and that a man has like held the 10 rings for like centuries. And there's this one long continuous shot where we follow the dad sitting into a chair and then zooming out and seeing like his whole compound of, trained assassins. And then it's full circle because the second end credit scene, as we know, the sister takes up the 10 rings and takes over the compound. Whether or not she has ill intentions with this, we don't know yet, but she might just be turning it into a good organization as opposed to what her father did.
That was my thought. Yep.
Yeah, so but it's cool because they literally do the exact same shot. We follow her sitting into a chair and then the camera zooms out so we see the entire compound. And I was like, wow, that is the exact same shot. They're just mirroring each other, except this time a woman is at the helm. And I was just very excited to point out that detail and talk about that with you.
Yeah, I love the parallel imagery. It's great.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
I thought
cool.
you were gonna like say like there's some twist like that she's not really in control because it has to be a man. But I like how it's now like no, we're cutting
No,
out the
it's like
gender
women.
stereotypes. Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Women empowerment. We love to see it, and that is actually a good segue into what we're doing next week. But we'll get there at the end. But anyway, 3:53 is going to be the time I write down for our audio listeners to come back. Hello, audio listeners. We're back without the spoilers now for Shang-Chi. If you saw Shang-Chi, you probably just listened to that, and great. Good for you. Spoiler ban's off. Now let's talk about my news. It's like news that was very exciting to me because I am very fond of a specific Marvel movie from 2018. It won an Oscar, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and we do have a title reveal for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2, and it is called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So instead of going into it, we're now going across it. So it's not the most inventive title, but it doesn't need to be. We know what we're getting, and we know it's going to be exciting. And we're getting a lot of Spider-Verse, we're getting a lot of multiverse, but I'm just excited because this seems like its own thing. And if it does branch out and become a bigger thing, I'm going to get upset. But like I'm glad it's like its own world. I just love that animation. When we were watching Venom a few weeks ago, and the post credits just had like a snippet of Spider-Verse just to entice viewers to go see it. Like I was just like, oh, so good. I just wish more Marvel movies, instead of like these little cliffhangers, would just like put little 2-minute clips of their future movie.
Teaser
That's a
trailers.
genius. Yeah, like a teaser. Not even a trailer. It was like a full 3-minute clip. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
amazing. The whole snowman bit, but yeah, very excited for Spider-Verse 2. I mean, are you excited? Do you have any apprehensions? Are you just on board
For
100%?
sure. I didn't even know that Spider-Verse 2 was on the radar. I mean, I
Oh, it's
assumed
coming. Yeah.
we were getting a second one. Is there a release date for it? I don't even know.
2022. So sometime next year, which I assume will be December or
Gotcha.
late, because they're gonna want that
Mm,
other Oscar. And the closer we've seen this with a lot of Oscars, the closer you
maybe.
put it to the end of the year, the better chance you have. I mean,
Mm,
look at Luca. Luca is a Pixar film, but now Disney's got another big animated film in Encanto coming in November, and that's
mm.
probably going to steal a lot of the thunder away from Luca, and I'm mad about it. But we'll see. Encanto might be
Dill,
great. But yes.
any Oscar-worthy films on your radar this year?
Oh yes. I mean, it's hard. I in terms of Marvel, probably not yet, just because I don't
Hmm.
think they bit with Black Panther, but I really don't see too many MCU movies getting the Oscar stuff. But this is a good time to just tell you some recommendations.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let me go through my list. Ooh, this
Mm.
is like an impromptu thing. I didn't know was happening, but I'm happy to talk about it. In terms of actual Oscar hopefuls that I think will happen, I just saw Dune, the Timothée Chalamet Zendaya film. It is
Yeah.
freaking spectacular. It's gonna win the big score and visual effects, all those awards. But I hope it's also gonna be competing in some of the bigger categories. But that's a sci-fi just epic. It's just larger than life. And
Hmm.
it's one of those things where if you don't know the source material, you might want to. If you're watching at home, you might want to watch with subtitles just because there's a lot of names of things and places. But it's just
Mm.
something that even if you don't know what's going on, it just immerses you. Okay, The French Dispatch, with the new Wes Anderson film, is also very good. Also starring Timothée Chalamet. He's having a hell of a
Mm.
year. I see that getting a lot of Oscar buzz. The Power of the Dog, a new Benedict Cumberbatch movie, which when we eventually get to his movie club, we'll definitely talk about that one because it's a really great Benedict Cumberbatch performance. I think he could be in consideration for lead actor for that.
Mm.
And Kirsten Dunst, our very own Mary Jane Watson from the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy,
The
is in it as well.
OG.
And I think she could be up for Oscars too. I don't think she'll win, but I think she'll be up for it.
Mm.
Let's see. I'm trying to also think of ones with with Marvel actors in it. Oh, I saw a film Passing, which is going to be on Netflix soon, starring Tessa Thompson. It's
Mm.
about these two friends who are mixed race friends growing up, and then one kind of chooses a white passing lifestyle where her husband doesn't even know she's black because she's passing. And then this other girl who could be passing but decides to live the more traditional black lifestyle and see how their lifestyles are different. And it's directed by Rebecca Hall from Iron Man 3. So that's really cool. Who is also a white passing African American woman who I didn't know. And
Mm.
that's the whole point. You don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of more movies coming out that'll be very interesting to talk about as the season goes on. But those are the ones that I think could be really big contenders in big categories. But a lot of good stuff coming out, and I'll keep putting reviews out on the channel for those things. I'm seeing Halloween. Well, I will have already seen the new Halloween, but I doubt that'll be up for Oscars. But we'll see.
I
I'm
have a
seeing that
bone
very
to
soon.
pick with Timothy Chalamet, though.
Oh, what is it?
He
Oh,
said in a recent interview, he was like, someone had asked him about the Army Hammer drama, and
yeah.
he had a great, politician response to that. That's not even what I'm talking about. But he said that he didn't name who it was, but he said one of his idols, one of his heroes, the first time he ever met him, put his arm around him and gave him two pieces of advice, and that was no hard drugs and no superhero movies. And I'm like, Timothy Chalamet, I know you did not take that advice because I've heard you talk about how disappointed you were that you didn't book Spider-Man. He must have been up
Yeah.
for it
Well,
for it. You
my
think Andrew's movies or you think Tom's?
No, definitely Tom's. He was up against Tom,
Okay.
but my thing is he might have also been told that afterward. Maybe it was oh, I wish I got on Spider-Man. Someone told him, well, hey, listen, you don't want to get because there is an idea that if you start doing superhero movies, that's kind of what you're stuck in because they are such big contracts and they're also very physically demanding. You see Kumail and the way he's getting ripped for um Eternals and
Yeah, sure.
how many other roles have we seen Kumail do in the past 2 years since Stuber and all those comedies. He hasn't done a lot this year because I think he's so focused on that. I think it just takes a lot of your shooting schedule, takes a lot, especially if you're doing movie on movie on movie. If you're Chris Hemsworth doing Thor, how many times have
Sure.
we seen Chris Hemsworth in something else that's not a little bit part? He has been leads. Like Extraction was a lead, but like it only comes once in a blue moon. So I get what they're saying in terms of like it really does change your whole career in the sense that like we don't see a lot of indie movies with these people. Like Chris Evans, I feel like Knives Out was his really only post MCU thing so far that he's really been able to do, really.
Yeah, and he
Um,
was also in that series Defending Jacob,
right.
which I did
Well,
watch.
that's the thing. Like, I think nowadays more and more superhero actors are getting more work. But like, look at Tobey Maguire. He hasn't been in a lot. He did Great Gatsby, but that was like one project since
I
in
also feel
20
like
years.
he stepped back from acting, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying it might have
Maybe
been
that's just a
because
rumor.
of, but I think it might have also been because of the toll and the just the lifestyle that comes with being a superhero actor. I get the sentiment of it's a
Maybe.
you don't want to jump into it right away, maybe like because look at Tom Holland, he jumped in and now this other stuff he does that's not superhero, like you said, Chaos Walking. It's not very good. Same as
Okay, well, I think that was COVID's fault more than anything.
right. But like I'm saying though, I get the side that's like, why are you dissing superhero movies? But I also get the side where it's like, if you want this specific career path, then superhero movies might not be a good idea. At least not for now. Like look at Joaquin Phoenix. He didn't do a superhero movie, or Jake Gyllenhaal. He didn't do a superhero movie until they were like
Mm,
well into their career. Um,
sure.
and then they did like one-offs. Joaquin did Joker, Jake did Spider-Man. Now they're done, and like that was their one, and now they can go back to their career. Like I think it's just a matter of how you manage it and your lifestyle and all that. Like I get why some people are pissed off about it, but like I
I don't
get
know.
the
I
sentiment about it.
disagree. I mean, look at Scarlett Johansson. I feel like she was in the MCU for 10 plus years and she was
Yeah,
able to manage like a pretty stable outside the MCU film career. Like she has a
true,
lot of stuff under her belt that's not MCU.
true, but she's also only gotten her lead role now, and she also got a lawsuit on top of that. So
But that's what I'm saying. Okay, well, lawsuit aside, I feel like that's what I'm saying though. It's like I feel like this really like not jump starts, but it makes an actor so much more popular because of these huge epic franchises. And
I
then
know.
once they're done, they have all these opportunities now because they're so well known from these things. So
Right.
I feel like I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel
it
like
also
that must have been a salty actor who either A, went up for a superhero movie and didn't get it, or B, has never been asked to be a part of a superhero movie and they're just jealous.
or they had like a bad experience. Maybe it was like Miles Teller in Fantastic Four. Like he had his big break, and then it was like, what
I
the fuck
can't
is
see
this?
I can't see Miles Teller being one of Timothy Chalamet's quote unquote idols.
Oh, okay, idols. Yeah, no, probably not. But like, yeah, definitely someone who Timothy
It
though
was
could
it was
resemble a career after.
what's his name? It was Martin Scorsese took his arm around him and was like, "Kid, no superhero movies."
Yeah, I don't know. I get the pro and the con side of it though. Like I do see the other side of like it is a different lifestyle. It really is. It becomes something so different, and because a lot of actors have spoken out about getting screwed by like studios being like, oh no, this needs to go, this needs to go, because it is a very much more studio mandated work than like an indie work. Like there's not as much artistic freedom in a superhero movie just because that's just how it goes. They're big budget blockbusters. So of course Disney is always going to get the final say of that's too inappropriate, or the audience isn't going to understand that. Why don't you spell it out for them with exposition or stuff like that?
Sure.
That's just what comes with it. But that's more like I think filmmaker side. I think the actors still get a little bit more free reign, but I don't know. And also he's in a big blockbuster now, so it'll be interesting to see like if his attitude changes
Dune?
or yeah. Because that is a big like sci-fi epic, even though it is more like original than like something like a comic book movie. But even then, it was based on a book, so I don't know.
Book
But it's an
Talk
interesting
has
discussion.
been Book Talk has been yelling at me to read that book. Do you think I should read it, Jill?
Um, I have not, and I was able to still follow the movie. But I think if you want to read it before seeing the movie, you've got very little time, and it's a
Oh,
very big book.
I could get a book read like that as long as
Maybe
it
then. I mean,
hooks me.
It'd be interesting to talk to someone who has seen Dune after reading the book. But I don't know. I think I personally like the story a lot, and I think the book might do a better job of just like making some of the exposition feel more like stick more in your brain because you're reading the words
Sure.
out loud. But I think if I watch it with subtitles, I'll get the same feel. I don't know. I think Dune is also one of those films where there are surprises that like it might be fun to watch without the book. Did you read
Without
Harry Potter
knowing.
first, or did you watch Harry Potter first?
I okay, so I watched Harry Potter in high school, had no idea what was going on. Like, literally, like, no idea. Like, I got the gist. I'm like, okay, this Voldemort's, like, upset that Harry
Yep.
lived. They both can't be together. But then,
Yeah.
like, they can't be together as if they're trying to be in a relationship. No, I mean, like, they both, like, can't live while the other one's alive. Like,
No,
whatever.
Voldemort can't be
The
together with anyone because
prophecy.
he gives awful hugs. He gives like the
Oh, God. I
Draco,
can't.
my boy.
Oh, I get the heebie-jeebies just thinking about that. But like everybody who reads books before they see movies, I am with those people that say, well, the book was so much better. Like, I
Okay.
do have that stance when it comes to the Harry Potter
Oh, interesting.
movies. But
Yeah.
definitely reading the books and then watching the movies helps, because I'm like,
Okay.
ooh, I understand the lingo. Like, I know who that is, and they haven't said his name yet.
Mhm.
It's like, it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I've heard similar things about Game of Thrones too, but that's like an interesting scenario where the book and the movie were going, and then the book stopped being made, and the TV
Mm-hmm.
show needed to keep going, so they just made stuff up for the ending, and now the books are going to come out later, so it's like it's a weird thing. But Dune, what happened with Dune is he took the book, basically split it in half, is making the first half, and is saying, hey, if the audience responds well, if they go to the box office and see it, or they go to the theaters and the box office money is good, he'll make part two, because he said it was just too expensive to make part two, because he wanted to keep it also 100% faithful to the book and not cut anything out. So
Yeah.
his approach is just, hey, let me cut it in half. And it does feel complete. It
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't, it does feel like a part one, but it does feel like it's got good closure, where if it ended here, it's fine, but it definitely has room to open up for another. So yeah, let me know if you do read it, what you think. Or if you see it and you're like, what is going on? Then you go back to read it. I might do that. I don't know though. It'll be interesting. I love talking books though, because I don't really read a lot of books. But like, if there's a movie I really really love that was based on a book or something, or a movie I hate that was based on a book, I'll usually check out the book just to be like, let's compare.
Mm.
Yeah, because there are so many good book to movie adaptations and so many bad ones. Is there like one that sticks out? I know this is totally off topic of our episode, but it's fun. I
No,
like to
so
riff it.
fine.
We've garnered an audience. We've been on long enough. We can do whatever the hell we
I
want.
just want to talk to you, Dale. Screw
Yeah,
this,
of
like,
course.
Marvel crap we do. Joking, joking.
No, we'll get there. We'll get
Oh, I have recommendations, but I don't know what you, like, are into reading. This is my
I don't read a
suggestion.
lot at all. I read reviews.
Here's my suggestion to you then, Dill. Go to Barnes and Noble and just walk right into the young adult section and just start picking things. They have a whole sci-fi, like, fantasy wall, if that's
Mhm.
what you like to read. If you're looking for something similar to, like, Harry Potter or like the Hunger Games, anything like that, they literally have a whole wall of sci-fi fantasy, and you can just pick titles that tickle your fancy. And this is what I do in Barnes and Noble. I read the first page, and if it doesn't hook me, I put it back.
Wow,
And
only
the
the first
book,
page. Wow,
well, I'll keep going if the sentence continues on to the next page. I'll
but like
finish out a
books, though,
paragraph.
not like
But
the first chapter, like the first page.
no,
Interesting.
I give it the first page, because I feel like
Okay.
that's all you need to get a reader going, or at
I
least
guess.
that's all I need. I was gonna say something when you were talking about Dune, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't know. If it comes back
Maybe
to you, let me know. Well,
maybe it's something
why don't
about
we?
Harry Potter. I don't
Oh,
remember.
I don't know.
No.
And Dune is filled with some MCU faces. We got Dave Bautista's in there. Josh
Mm-hmm.
Brolin is in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar Isaac, who is not an MCU face yet. I don't know if he even is gonna be. Is Moon Knight MCU? Yeah, he will be. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Zendaya
MCU.
is in it. Like, there's a lot of good MCU people in it. So go check it out. Oh, Stellan Skarsgård plays the villain. He is Eric Selvig, and he's the villain in Dune. Yeah,
Oh,
like, it's
Eric
really good.
Selvig.
And one thing I like that I didn't say in my review is that Josh Brolin does not sound like Thanos here. Like, because
Hmm.
how sometimes like you get like Cable from Deadpool 2 sounded so much like Thanos.
Yeah.
In this film, that sounds like he's doing a little bit of a higher register in his voice. It does slip into the Thanos sometimes, but it's not like the I'm Thanos. Like, I can't do the voice now, but like it's much more like this. Like, it's much more
Mm.
higher and heady. Because he's also yelling a lot. Like, not yelling,
Mm-hmm.
but like he's projecting a lot. So it's good. So check out Dune, everyone. There was a little Dune
Dune plug.
Dune book
Random
talk.
Dune plug.
But that segues us a book club to our movie club. And what we do is we do Avengers Movie Clubs. We pick an Avenger, then we pick 3 movies of theirs. We only do 3 because there's only so many movies we can watch in a week.
Mhm.
before a podcast. But we picked three. Usually I've seen a few of them, but I always pick one movie that I haven't seen either. And usually all of them or most of them are new to Kelsey. Kelsey, how many of these had you seen before?
I watched 42. I had to randomly watch it for like a class in college. I don't
Okay.
remember what the lesson was, but
Hmm.
I watched 42 and I hadn't seen 21 Bridges yet, but I was intrigued and I hadn't seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom yet.
Cool. Yeah, I had seen Ma Rainey, I had seen 42, but it's been a long time since I saw 42. And I had not seen 21 Bridges. So, of course, there's always one new one that we like to throw in the mix. But those are three movies. 42, the baseball film, Jackie Robinson, very apropos for what just happened at the time of recording last night when the Brooklyn or the LA Dodgers beat the
Mhm.
Giants and are now in the NLCS finals. Um, and if they win here against the Braves, they will be in the World Series. And then our second film is 21 Bridges. We picked it because Chadwick Boseman doing some action stuff was cool. And we picked a film produced by the Russo brothers, who are obviously MCU personalities. And then we picked Ma Rainey's Black Bottom for the obvious reasons. It was his Oscar-nominated role. It won him the Golden Globe. It won him, I think, the SAG. Yeah, it won him the SAG. And it's just a really, really great closing kind of swan song for him. That's not What If. So let's talk about these movies. Let's start with 42, since we're going to go chronologically
Sure.
in terms of when they came out, not necessarily when they were set, even though I think we might be. No, Ma Rainey was
No,
not
Ma
set
Rainey
before
was
20.
1927.
But anyway, Kelsey, tell us about 42.
All right, 42 came out in 2013. It was directed by Brian Hegeland. That's my attempt at his last name. I
Yeah,
didn't mean
no,
to like
like Disneyland or Legoland. It's
Hegeland.
Legoland.
That was my hesitant way of like, oh, I'm so sorry if I
Mhm.
butchered this right now.
I think it might be Helgland, maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
Helgeland,
maybe
Helgeland.
Hegeland.
I don't know. Either way, Brian. Sorry if we mispronounced your name. If you're watching
Um,
this for some reason.
Sorry every time. And here's my synopsis. Okay. As the first African American player on a white baseball team, Jackie Robinson navigates his way through a very segregated and racist America.
Yeah. And it's interesting because all three of these films, race, I think, does play a big factor. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because Chadwick just takes on these like really, really deep, like black characters that are like just like a lot of juicy material to like cling on to. But
For sure.
let me just name some of the stars also in this thing. You have Chadwick Boseman, but you also have Harrison Ford, you have Christopher
Mm-hmm.
Maloney, Andre Holland, Lucas Black. Two faces that I know you're familiar with from Grey's Anatomy. T.R.
Mm-hmm.
Knight's in there, and also James Pickens Jr., Richard Weber's in
Mm-hmm.
there.
I did write
You
that
very
down.
familiar faces. And then in terms of MCU, I think trying to think if has Alan Tudyk ever done MCU? No, he's done Disney and he's done Star Wars. I'm trying to think if any of these people have done MCU yet. I don't think so. Lucas Black did Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
see any
yeah, so it's just
crossovers
Chadwick.
really.
Chadwick's our one and only MCU representative here, but what a good representative to have though in your movie. And I think first and foremost, I mean his performance in all of these is amazing, but like here,
Yeah.
it's like this was his big breakout, and I
Yeah.
think to get someone who's fairly unknown to play like someone who is very well known and very well revered, like that's a hard task, and he stepped up to the plate very very well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, he hit a home run with this one.
Oh my god, is this just gonna be like a series of baseball puns?
No, no, don't worry. Three strikes and now I'm out.
All right. All right, Jill. Well, I wanted to do something different with Chadwick because I feel like just as we are theater actor people, I get curious as to what these actors' upbringing are, where if they
Mhm.
studied anywhere, if they were kind of just discovered, like what their past was
Yeah.
like. So I was interested to find out that Chadwick got a BFA for directing from Howard University,
Oh,
and I don't know when he graduated undergrad, but he got his acting experience from the British American Academy Drama Academy, the British American Drama Academy in 1998. That is where he studied.
wow.
That's where he studied acting. But I was interested to see that he has a whole degree in directing,
Mm,
and it's a shame. I just feel like he could have utilized that more. I don't know how many
yeah, no,
directing credits he has, but
probably
I would
not a
have loved
ton.
to see that.
Yeah, I think his only producing credit is 21 Bridges. So like he really didn't do a lot of like behind the scenes
Behind the
work.
scenes, yeah.
Which sucks. Obviously, it would have been great, and obviously he didn't have the time because of the stuff he was dealing with outside of the,
Right.
you know, the film set.
Yeah.
But what do you think of this movie, Kels? Did you like it?
I really like this movie. I mean, I love an underdog film. Like
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for a sports movie because
Yeah,
like,
me too.
cuz like it's like the Mighty Ducks, the remember the Titans. Like you want to root for the underdogs. You want to see them get that, last point right at the buzzer. The
Hmm.
crowd goes wild. Like that's it's just this movie's just so exciting. I love how it's shot. The cinematography is just I feel like so classic. Like it
Yeah,
really does like put you in this era of like the 60s early late 50s early 60s kind of vibe, like
yeah,
just everything about it. It's just like a really like classic film, I
yeah. It
feel
does.
like.
It does have very classic vibes to it. I think it's just like I see how that's also kind of a criticism because it does feel a little like, formulaic in the biopic
Mm,
standard. Like, this is like your classic like biography film like about this figure. But I don't think with this person and this material, like I don't think it needed to be anything more because like I think for so many years you didn't have a Jackie Robinson biopic. Like the first one needs to be, sometimes biopics take big swings. Oh my god, I said it again unintentionally, but like
I
sometimes they
didn't even
take big.
didn't even
I know.
catch that one.
Sometimes they take like big swings and they miss because they try too hard to make like this like really cool artsy movie that sometimes they lose the actual person itself. And like I think if you've seen a story about someone like Steve Jobs,
Mhm.
Aaron Sorkin, when he wrote that movie and Danny Boyle directed it, that movie it was coming off of that really bad Steve Jobs movie with Ashton Kutcher. So like they had already done a movie about Steve Jobs' life, so now Danny Boyle did a movie about like a very specific time in Steve Jobs' life. Like once
Mhm.
you've seen someone's story told a lot, then you can start doing like really inventive, unique, like abstract things with it. But I think when you haven't had a story yet put to screen about a character, like I like how this is a very more straightforward approach. It just kind of tells the story as it is. And some people might not dig that because they're more into the artsy fartsy stuff, and that's fine. But I think this is a very well done film. I mean, obviously, like you said, a baseball movie. It there's a feeling about a baseball movie that is just so satisfying because like it
Mhm.
has some action, but it's not like a football game where it's just like always like, all right, next yard line. Like it takes its
Yeah.
time, and you feel that in the movie, but also like there is that kind of tense pressure when like there's someone standing at the mound and there's someone standing at the plate, and you just kind of have that standoff. It's almost like a western, like that western standoff between pitcher
Yeah.
and batter, and that moment right before things happen. And then all the other stuff just not on the baseball field is very interesting too, especially with like the racism and things and seeing exactly how hard it was for him
Oh
to
my
get his
god.
footing. Yeah.
I literally had to write down, like, these people are awful. Like, they are just so oh my god, these people were gross. They're still gross people,
Hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, like, today, but, like, it was just so, so horrible, and to, like,
Yeah.
see it it's like not even seeing it firsthand. It's like seeing it so, like, secondhand and, like, so detached, like, it's scripted. It's a movie from 2013. It's a dramatization, and it still just makes me feel so, like, icky and so gross, but
Hmm.
I just love how he's so good in this movie. He's so good at being, like, a guarded and a tough guy. Like, he's known for losing his temper, he's known to getting into fights, like, he sticks up for himself, like, all this stuff, but he's still, like, so open,
Hmm.
like he's still vulnerable. He still invites the camera in. It's not like he's deflecting away and like pushing
Yeah.
the audience away. He's still inviting us into his story, but he's still like this guarded guy who's, got some walls up, and he has a very good reason to have some walls up in
Hmm.
his situation.
Yeah, I
And
read that. I read that Jackie Robinson's widow was involved in the making of it. I don't know how old she is now, but like she was involved in like making sure that he wasn't just depicted as this angry black man, that he had
mhm,
layers, and that he was at the end of the day very wholesome, very good because he was a good person. But like any athlete, they get tough on themselves, and I know how if in the wrong hands, even in these hands, which I don't think are the wrong hands, but like even without that voice and that guide, it could have come across in a more negative sense. You could have made him out to be more of this like abrasive, or not abrasive, but like kind of like have little eruptions or outbursts and stuff like that, because he did suffer, or there were so many obstacles. Like, he had to
Mhm.
overcome so much that it's honestly surprising that he didn't get even more frustrated. I mean, that big moment with the bat is like the real kind of like final straw for him, but like
Mhm.
that didn't even happen apparently, or something along those lines. Like, a lot of it is fictionalized, but I like how they choose what moments to make him have his like anger moments, but like when to also like showcase the good parts of him and like the more optimistic parts of him, because he was so important in bringing together teamwork and, companionship that is so important to modern day baseball, especially now
Mhm.
that we see so many people not even from America playing baseball, who are black people from different countries. There's a film called Sugar, directed by the directors of Captain Marvel, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. It is my favorite sports movie. It is a beautiful movie about this Dominican Republic pitcher who comes up to America and literally doesn't know how to navigate it because he's in Iowa and he doesn't speak English, and how he
Mm.
like kind of navigates living in this new place and how scary it really is. Um, and where it kind of comes into the question of like, is it worth it to do this for like suffering so much? Like, do the cons outweigh the pros, or vice versa? I think this is very similar. And Jackie was American, and he still had these, hurdles. And I just think it's very relevant to today, because you still have people coming from like Dominican Republic or like down in South America coming to play baseball here, and it must be tough, trying to
Mhm.
assimilate into this culture and just like deal with just racism, because it's still around.
Mhm.
And I just think that's a very and racism in the sense of like Get Out, where like you almost feel like a prized possession because you are so skilled, like you're almost being
Mhm.
used for your color, and just the conversations that brings. And I think that's why this movie is so important, because it is kind of still universal today, even though it's not as bad today. Um, it is though. That's the problem. It is some places. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough because it's like we've come some ways, but we still have ways to go. And I
Exactly.
think that's just how we need to acknowledge it.
I think it's gotten better in the sports world. I will say that, because like, you know, the more than half, I'd say, of players nowadays are black, or at least in just sports in general, like football and baseball and stuff, like, which is
Sure.
good. Just that there is just more, opportunity. Um, but still, there's always going to be people who are racist and terrible, especially the people who are higher ups who have the power. And I mean, that's something we see in so many films, including even the next one we'll talk about. So, yeah, it's tough. But what did you think of like the other stuff in the movie, like Harrison Ford's character, and because he's like one of the parts of the movie that I'm like, oh, you might be doing it a little, you might be overdoing it. And it's
Mm.
Harrison Ford, but like he's
Honestly,
it's a
like
lot.
I saw like Harrison Ford like come up in the opening credits and I was like, Harrison Ford's in this movie? Like I would have remembered like Harrison Ford because he's Harrison Ford. And I feel like he totally like yeah, like he hams it up a little bit, but I feel like he totally like blends into like this character, this like grody guy
Right.
who is always got the cigar and he's like, Jackie, I'm gonna make you the next big thing of baseball. Like
Yeah.
that's
Well,
my best Harrison Ford impression in this movie.
no, that's good. Yeah, you got to get the grizzle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's hard because like you want to be like, oh, good. So like this will be the one guy who like really roots for him. But then like at the end of the day, you're like, he's just trying to make that bag. He's just trying to like make
Yeah.
a pretty penny off of Jackie's skills, and that's not great either. So I'm like, who
That's
do
what
I
I was
root
saying.
for in
Yeah,
this
it's
movie?
like it's
There's
like the
no
Get
good
Out.
white people in this
It's like the
movie.
Get Out thing, where they're like, no, 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 we're taking your brain, we're taking your body because you're of value to us. We love your body. We want your eyes. We want your hands. We want your muscles. It's like, no, stop it.
Oh, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
kind of a similar thing here, where it's like, yeah, like you're obviously saying like you want to be progressive. You're giving him this opportunity, but it's for your own benefit, and it's because it'll benefit you at the end of the day. And yeah, I love Harrison Ford, but it just seems like Chadwick is so like real in this
Yes,
role
yes.
that like Harrison Ford is very much clear he's putting on a character. But
He's
like
like a
at
character,
the end
yeah.
of the day, you might need that, because it is entertaining.
Yeah.
So I give it that.
I
But
thought it was just enough. I thought
yeah,
that Harrison Ford was giving just enough
like
because
the
I don't know, maybe that's how that guy was in real life.
yeah,
We don't know.
the water's steaming. It's not boiling. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I also
um,
loved TR Knight's character.
yeah,
What was his name? His first name's like Harold. I don't know his whole name, but he had.
don't
Oh,
tell me
I
that.
wrote down some of my favorite moments just because they were like so
Harold
funny
Parrot.
or so cute. Yeah. So he has this one moment where he comes to tell Jackie that the manager of the Phillies wants to take a picture of him. And this is after like that big outburst where he was just being so disrespectful,
Mhm.
so racist. And they're like, no, like you need to make amends with him because like you're making like the Phillies organization like look racist. And so he's like telling him, he's like, you want to take a picture? He's like, oh, like, no, like the manager wants to take a picture with you. And Jack is just like, are you drunk? And he's like, no, I wish. No, this is very much real. He has this like very cute moment. It was
Mhm.
like the perfect delivery. And I was like,
Yeah.
TR is so great. Like, I wish I'd seen him in more stuff other than this and Grey's Anatomy, obviously. But
He's got a few like good, like he always pops up in things sometimes when I'm
yeah.
just least expecting him. Um like
This
what was
is
I thinking?
This
Yeah,
movie
keep
was
talking.
really good at I feel like balancing like the drama because it gets so heavy and like it just like grounds you so much and like holds a mirror right up to your face with like all the racism, but then they have like these cute little like comedic moments that I feel like really balances out the film and
Yeah.
just makes it like super enjoyable. So you don't feel like so icky while you're watching it the whole time.
The flight attendant on HBO is the one where I was like, "Oh, TR Knight, it's you."
Oh,
Um
nice. Now I'm
yeah,
gonna watch
so
that.
check
I
it out.
wanted to before. Is it
Um
a comedy or a drama?
eh, I think it's a I haven't seen more
Like
than
a
one episode.
dramedy?
I think
A
it's
dark comedy?
more drama, but like not like heavy
Because
drama.
isn't the girl from the Big Bang Theory at the helm of it?
Yeah, Kaylee Cuoco. Um,
And there's a book. See, I thought it was a drama because I saw a book by the same name, and I was like, is it based off the book? Because books are
it's
usually drama,
I would say
dramatic.
black comedy. So it's like it's not. There's you never heard that term a
Black
black
comedy?
yeah black comedy. So it's like it's not like
I've heard the term dark comedy.
yeah that's yeah oh no dark yeah kind of that yeah a black comedy yeah a dark comedy very similar yeah I think it's the same exact concept but yeah it's
Okay.
yeah like it's got underlying comedic things but it's not things that you would normally laugh at like it's a very different like the late great Norm Macdonald. We're talking about so many people who unfortunately died of cancer and didn't tell anyone, but like Norm Macdonald, like his whole thing was like black comedy. Um, from SNL, the guy who just passed away.
Maybe. Not maybe he passed away. Maybe I know
Yeah,
him.
no, you would know him if you heard him. But yeah. Anyway, yeah,
Did you give this film a rating, Dill?
I did. I give it a 7 because I think, like I said, like it doesn't feel like the most like submersive biopic. It's very like by the books in terms of it's like the way it's like told, but I think it's very good performance, very good messaging. I give it a 7.
See, I haven't seen a lot of biopics, I feel like, in my
Okay.
life. So I wasn't really comparing this to
We
any
saw 2
other
today. So,
biopic.
yeah.
That's fair. So I give this film an 8.
Cool. Yeah,
8
like we're
out
on
of
the same
10.
page. Yeah, there we go. All right. And is it that's in terms of like just your overall rating or don't you have like a scale that you do of like
Yes.
yeah.
So I go into these movies thinking, how likely am I to recommend this movie to someone who has seen Chadwick in the MCU and is like, Kelsey, what else has Chadwick been in? I need to watch him in more movies. He was so great in Black Panther. I'd be like, oh boy, do I have the film for you. 42 from 2013. So 8 out of 10. I
Cool.
am 8 times out of 10 likely to recommend this one.
There you go. So what is your next yeah, I just looked. Black comedy is also known as dark comedy, edgy
Okay.
humor, dark humor, morbid humor, stuff like that. So yeah, the original term is black comedy, but yes, not it has doesn't have nothing to do with like black comedy, but you know, not like Eddie Murphy. But you
Gotcha.
know, okay, 21 Bridges. Let's talk about it, Kelsey. Let us know.
21 Bridges came out in 2019. The director is Brian Kirk.
Easy name to
Here's
pronounce.
Yeah, very easy. Another
From
Brian, but an easier
Game of
last name.
Thrones.
Cool. Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
There we
Oh
go.
my
You're
god, thank
welcome.
you for saying that. Oh, that thought was bothering me so much. Okay, let me tell you something about Game of Thrones still. Quick side tangent. I don't think I will ever watch that show simply because the world was so annoying when that show was at its peak. there has never been a more annoying time in history where people were constantly talking about something. Winter is coming. Oh my God, the dragons. These people. I cannot believe she pillaged that land after she said she never would. I feel like I've watched the whole thing because the internet has bombarded me so much with knowledge about this show that I don't care about. So therefore, I will just simply never watch it out of spite.
I was gonna say, thank God we were babies when Friends was at its peak. Let's just say that, because I feel like it's a similar effect.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I think you'd like it, but it's whatever.
I don't know. Maybe if I ever, I don't know. I'm also just not.
You were
in
a play based, like, satirizing it, like a parody of Game of Thrones. Like, you were in a play about it. You were the lead of a play about it. Like, literally,
you're talking a Game of TR. I was like, what are you talking about?
Literally, half the jokes in that were Game of Thrones references.
Yeah, but I also feel like it was more King Lear than it was Game of Thrones.
The plot is King Lear, but a lot of, like, the joke, like, all right. Well, also because you haven't seen it, you don't know the jokes. So there
I don't know the jokes.
But it'll be interesting.
Except for when Elsa said, "Winter is coming." I'm like, I know that meme because it was like I said, everyone's just so annoying about that show when it was at its peak.
And then it's dragons, and then it's also zombies. It's both.
There's zombies in it too. Crazy.
The White Walkers. Yes, that's a whole plot.
Great. Another detail I will never need to. I'm now using brain cells to know that there are zombies in Game of Thrones, and I will simply never need to know that information in my life. And another thing, everyone was so disappointed in the end because he didn't finish writing the books that the last season was just trash in everyone's eyes. So now I'm not going to watch this whole show just to be let down at the end of it.
I didn't think it was trash, but it was rushed. But I still liked some episodes in the end. I don't know. Anyway, it's funny how this episode is about Chadwick Boseman. The most wholesome Chadwick Boseman has now become Kelsey's disdain for Game of Thrones, and my disdain for reading. Anyway,
I'm going to build 21 bridges and get over it. So here I go.
Great job.
Thank you. I like thought of that, and I was like, I have to get this out. I have to release this segue. So here's my synopsis for 21 Bridges 2019. Director Brian Kirk. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, he did direct episodes of Game of Thrones, is what I was saying before the big tangent. Go ahead.
Oh, he did? Good for Brian Kirk. Yes. Okay. Okay. Detective Andre Davis shuts down the streets of New York City searching for two criminals guilty of killing cops.
There you go. And here we have some Marvel crossover for sure, because J.K. Simmons is now in the MCU.
Oh, he sure is. He sure is.
I was trying to think of anyone else. I don't think there's anyone else. Maybe Taylor Kitsch. No, Taylor Kitsch has never done anything in the MCU. Oh, Taylor Kitsch was in X-Men Origins Wolverine. So that kind of
counts. Which one was that?
He's the other guy they're chasing after, not the black guy, the white guy.
The white guy?
Yeah.
He was in X-Men Origins Wolverine. What was he?
Yeah. He was this is good to know for trivia purposes if I can find it. He was Remy LeBeau.
Oh, he was the card guy, the casino guy.
I guess. I probably shouldn't have said anything because I really can't reference it because I don't know. Because I kind of blocked that movie from my memory.
I think that's the casino guy.
Gotcha. But anyway, yeah, you have Chadwick and then, of course, J.K. Simmons. But it's Chadwick's movie through and through. What do you think of this movie, Kels? Because we are both watching this for the first time. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I think Chadwick did a great job. I think it feels a little like a huge cliche. I mean, I know there's a huge plot twist at the end. Some hinky business going on in the NYPD. Who could have seen that coming?
How about them apples? Yeah.
But it just feels, I don't know. I guess I just haven't seen a lot of cop movies, so I don't know, other than 21 Jump Street, I feel.
And it's funny because it's 21 Bridges.
Yeah.
No relation.
Let me tell me how you felt about this.
Well, okay, I think what you're saying is like it does seem like you're very generic cop action thriller.
Yeah.
The first 2/3 are that. Like, it's just
Yeah.
kind of the chase, and it's like, okay, one gets away, one dies, and there's like a buddy team up. I did like how it was like a black man and like a white woman, like as the buddy cop, opposed to like two
Mhm.
white dudes, but like
Yeah.
that was kind of it. But then the third act, I think, is where I did kind of like it a lot more, because then that's when you get the big twist and you realize that there's more than just this one case. It's not just about these guys who murdered the cops, but realizing that some of these cops were corrupt, and then seeing who is in charge of the corruption, and then the fact that it kind of circles back to him. It circles back to the partner he's been with the whole movie. Like, I liked that. And I wish the movie was more about that, but again, it only comes later in the movie, and I feel like it was like that extra added twist, whereas like that is the most important and most exciting part about it.
Sure, yeah.
As for the actual action itself, though, like, it wasn't awful. Like, I enjoyed. The thing is, this is a very watchable movie. Like, I never was like checking my watch, like, oh, when is this gonna be over? I was just
Sure.
watching it, but I was never like, oh my god, that's so exciting. Like, I'm at the edge of my seat. Like, I wasn't like
Yeah.
that the whole time. And I don't know if that's because of the writing. It's not the performance, because I think Chadwick's performance is very, very, very good.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I actually found, when I was looking through some Letterboxd reviews, because I always like to read what other people are thinking, and I was gonna have this photo to show you, but instead I'll just show you on my phone. This is my favorite review that I read, and it says, "Man, you'd never know Chadwick was Wakandan. His American accent is fantastic."
That can't be real. Is that real?
No, it's. I mean, people Letterboxd. A lot of people write like one-liner jokes.
Was it a joke? Okay.
Yeah. No, but it's. I just
I'm
thought
like,
it
oh
was
my
hilarious. I was
god.
like, that is so funny, because like it's so interesting hearing him for the most part do Wakandan accents, and then you
Yeah.
hear him do like his regular accent here. It was really, really good. Um,
Yeah.
it's even more impressive when you see like someone like John Boyega, who's British, doing it, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Speaking of
it was
accents,
impressive.
I was worried because I heard like, okay, so the woman started talking when we were introduced to the woman cop. I think her name was like Barnes. I
Mm-hmm.
think Burns.
Burns.
It was Burns. Probably Detective Burns or something. And she starts talking, and she very obviously has like a Boston accent. Like, she's like the job I started with. Like, she's like doing all that nonsense.
In the car.
And then like I heard someone else talk, like the woman he kept calling back at the police station to get like info from, I guess, like she was putting on a very heavy New York accent. And I was like, oh god, is this whole movie just gonna be everyone doing an absurd amount of New York like diction? Like, I'm like, I don't think I can watch a whole movie of being like, yeah, I'm walking here, like just like a
Don't
very
watch The
like
Sopranos.
cliche generic
Yeah.
New York. Because like, we go to New York all the time, like not like, you have to go in like I feel like the depths of New York to actually find someone who like talks like that.
Right. Well, because also New York is such a hodgepodge of like other people too.
Of other
it's
things,
like,
yeah,
it's
for
so
sure.
many different cultures and styles. It's a melting pot. But yeah, no, I get it. It's more like the Jersey City accent, like hey, I'm walking here, Jersey. You get the twang in the voice,
Certainly.
a little bit of Joe Pesci. You go, kind of got a little bit of a something in your mouth.
Yeah,
you got a little salami in your teeth.
Speaking of us being in New York, during the moments when he was like, when they were like, shut down the bridges, like there's 21 bridges, we're gonna close them all down, stop all the trains, like, and he was like, they were shutting down like all of New Jersey transit. I'm like, it is 1 a.m. There is a very good chance, there's a very good scenario where Dill and I are rushing to get that last NJ transit train at 1 a.m. We run all the way to the NJ transit
running
section,
like kind of wobbling also.
like because we're like drunk and we're like, oh my god, we gotta get the train, and then boom, trains close. I'm like, imagine us just being like, they just shut down Manhattan, we are now stuck here
if
for
they
the
shut
night.
down the trains, as long as they keep the bathrooms open, because that is
that killed us.
So Kelsey and I's last venture into it wasn't even the city, it was Hoboken, or it was Jersey City. On our way back to our hometown in Jersey with a bunch of people. It wasn't just us, it was like a whole group, and a lot of us had to pee. And we get to Newark because you had to do a transfer, the Newark train station to transfer home. And Newark, they close their bathrooms after midnight. And so we're waiting for the train, which is coming in 25 minutes. And if you've ever like had to pee, and I'm not just saying like I drank water, I might have to pee, I can let a little out. No, like if you haven't peed in like hours and like you've been drinking
and you've been doing a whole night of drinking
and other stuff too, not just water, like you've already broken the seal once at the bathroom at the restaurant or the bar, it is the most painful experience because you're like, am I just gonna go? am I just gonna do it here? Like, am I just gonna
Yeah.
pee? Or am I gonna,
Dill,
like, pee illegally somewhere? Like, I'm not gonna do that.
you could have gotten away with peeing in Newark Penn Station better than I could have. All you have to do is just like stand up against the wall. I would have had to do all these like squatting. I would have put my underwear
Oh my
down. Like
god!
I came so close to peeing in Newark Penn Station.
Well,
You have
and I remember
no idea.
I went to the police station, at the train station. I knocked on it, I was like, "Hey, are the bathrooms, like, are they locked all night now?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, is there anything we could do about that?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Really? Like, you don't have keys? Like,
No, they were
can I
not
use
letting
your
us
bathroom? 'Cause
in.
the cops are there all night. Like, they have a
The
bathroom."
You will never know disappointment on my I hope I never know disappointment like this ever again from me turning the corner. I see the golden gates of the restroom sign pointing me in the right direction, only to turn the corner to see a barricade in my face and it being closed. I was really like, guys, I'm not gonna make it. Like,
You
and
know,
it was 1 a.m. I'm looking around. There's not many people around. I could have just, shuffled off into
yeah.
a corner.
Yeah, like,
But
found a water bottle.
I waited until I found a bathroom on the train itself.
Yeah. No, it
So,
was bad. But anyway,
oh, it was
back to
bad.
21 Bridges. Like, yeah, closing the city like that, like, that's a big deal. Because even then, like, you're only closing Manhattan, right?
Mhm.
So, like, you even have to think about people who work in Manhattan, who live in Brooklyn or live in
Mhm.
Staten Island or live in Queens or Bronx and have to get back because there's 5 boroughs and Manhattan's just one borough. So that's definitely a big inconvenience. But I like that whole idea of closing the bridges and you having till 5 a.m. because it kind of puts like an urgency on it, like
Yeah,
it puts stakes
raises
on it. Because
raises the stakes.
at 5 you raise the barricades, ha ha ha. So you like at 5 o'clock it's done. So like
Yeah.
there's got to be that urgency, and I like that about this movie. I did feel that urgency. I just wish it was just a little bit more clever in some of the genre tropes. I mean, I think the casting of like different people of color in these roles too is very interesting, especially with the actual killer being a black man and a white man. Like what dynamic that makes. I think it makes
Mhm.
really interesting commentaries, but it's not till the third act where all those come to light and come together. And I wish it was a little bit more consistent throughout. But again, Chadwick is so good in this. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really. I mean, I think you were kind of talking about it earlier, and then we went off on the tangent. But like how everyone's doing like these thick Boston or New York accents, and like his accent isn't thick, but like it's cool. Like he's got like a very powerful voice.
Yeah.
It almost gives me vibes of like Denzel when he was in his young career. You know, like
Mm.
this is a movie that could have been made in the early '90s with Denzel Washington. Like he
Yeah.
does feel like he could have had that kind of career trajectory had he survived and had he lived. And it's very sad that he didn't. But I think this is like another great layer to him that because Black Panther is kind of like the noble king like figure, and then 42 it's like the scrappy underdog. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, we'll get to it, it's a whole nother character, and then here it's like there's a wholesomeness about the way he approaches certain things, but he still does pull the trigger at times, and it's interesting seeing that balance and how he navigates this whole scenario.
Yeah, I really just feel like he elevates just everything he's a part of. He makes everyone
Exactly.
around him better. He makes the
Hmm.
script better. I gotta say, I love the banter in this film. Like they just
Yeah, it's
had
good.
such witty like comebacks for one another. Like it was such like stereotypical like cop banter. But I was like, I'm into this.
Yeah, like
There's this.
when the guy calls him Trigger and he
Yes.
makes that joke. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Still, that is the exact moment I was going to talk about. He was like, "You better have real good diction calling me Trigger." Like, and I was like, "Ha! I
Yeah.
understood that
No, yeah.
reference." Yeah. My only issue with this, not my only issue. I clearly have a lot of issues with this film, but one of my main issues with this film was that I feel like at the end of the day, I didn't know who to root for, because like once it comes to the big standoff between him and the one remaining criminal, his name was Michael,
Yeah.
left. I mean, that standoff in the subway, that was like my favorite part because you
Yeah.
you don't know, like, is one of them about to like take off like running and one of them's gonna
Hmm.
get stuck on the subway never to be seen again. Like we don't know what's gonna happen here. And I was like, ooh, this is some good, like, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, drama right now. And then they're
Hmm.
both just able to have this conversation in the subway only for him to get shot
By Burns.
by Burns. Oh, I never wanted something to be reversed so badly. Where was the time
Yeah.
stone when I needed it?
Yeah.
But my point was is that like at the end, and even when the white guy's dying, he's like, Michael, like he's not like me, like he's not like me, like like treat him better because like he didn't even kill anyone. He was just guilty by
Guilty by
association kind
association.
of thing. And now he's like trying to like help. They're trying to help each other out. Him and on Detective Davis,
Andre, yeah.
and then he gets killed for no reason. So it's like you're rooting for him because you're like, maybe if he gets out of this, he can turn his life around, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, like Chadwick being the protagonist, you want him to do his job well. But at the end of the day, I was like, I'm for sure not rooting for like J.K. Simmons or any of these cops that just started shooting.
That's even before you find out the twist.
Yeah, exactly. Because even when they were at the door to the guys, that really wealthy guy who got shot in the eye from the peephole, I'm like, why are you shooting through the peephole? You don't know that guy. Isn't there some sort of regulation here? Right. But isn't there some sort of checks and balances? I was just like annoyed. I was like,
yeah, there's a lot of like moral conversations had throughout this whole thing, like the whole idea of like, the person, it's guilty by association, but at the same time he is fleeing from the scene, he is running away, so he's actively putting himself in danger, but at the same time he has key information about the people who are chasing him that will take them down. And I think Chadwick's just caught up in the middle of it, and that's why Chadwick is such a good protagonist, because he never really crosses a line in a bad way. He always seems to be in the right direction. That's why J.K. Simmons is like, damn, you're good, because he is so good at it. Like he's really good at his job. And it does, it's that whole idea of like when all the things are coming to light last year with George Floyd, like people being like, yeah, they're good cops, but it's in this grand scheme of things, like what does it mean when you're working, when the people above you might not be? And we see this here where like Chadwick Boseman's character is obviously a good cop, but he's in this sea of people who aren't good people to be associated with, and how that dynamic plays into things. And I think it's a very interesting commentary. I really do. I think like that's why the third act is so much better than the beginning too, because it actually makes a new statement on things that we don't see a lot, especially in cop movies. Because usually in cop movies, it's like the cops are the good guys always. And now you have, or they're always the bad guys. It's because it's like, it's all about the corruption. But now it's like kind of this mix of both, and trying to figure out who is good, who is bad, and like what it means to work amongst bad people that you don't even know are bad until the end. I think that's very interesting.
I didn't get what was on the flash drive. Can you explain that to me?
I think it was like the information about like the cocaine, all the cocaine transactions and stuff, and like who was involved. I think it was just a list of names and like their circle. I think I again, like that kind of stuff I wish was a little clearer,
Yeah. But that the twist itself, I mean, I understood that there was like a mess of corruption happening. I just like didn't, and like who was involved, but I was like, I don't understand exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, they were basically running like an underground cocaine business, like selling drugs. They were basically laundering drugs and stuff like that. But which obviously you can't do, and I guess a few of the cops that got killed in that shooting were people who were involved in the drug stuff, but then some weren't. And that's another conversation, is like, what is the justice for taking down bad people and good people? Like which one outweighs, the other? I think it brings up an interesting conversation, but like I get what you're saying. The film itself just wasn't as exciting or as memorable, especially its first half or whatever, as other movies of its kind and other movies in general.
Had like he had the hunch that like something hinky was going on in the police department, like from the beginning, and then we kind of slowly watched him put together these clues as the film went on. I feel like that would have been more interesting, because there still would have been room for like a huge twist at the end. He would have just been getting a lot more breadcrumbs along the way, other than, we're now more than halfway through and it's like, now this flash drive exists, and he's like, well, now we're going to find out what's on the flash drive. And I'm like, well, I feel like this should have been layered in from the beginning.
Yeah. Anyway, what did you give this on your scale of like numbers?
I gave this on my Chadwick scale. I gave this a 5 out of 10.
I did too. Wow, Kels, we are like simpatico right now.
High five.
I'm just gonna get up and stretch while you introduce the next film, which is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I'm stretching because my bottom is sore.
Oh, gotcha. Stretch that bottom out, Dill. Ma
Oh,
Rainey's Black Bottom came out in 2020. The director, George C. Wolfe. Here's my
yes, love
synopsis.
George C.
Trumpetist Levi. Oh, it's not Levi. Sorry, I knew I was gonna do that. Okay, starting over. Rewind the tape.
Trumpetist. I thought you said something else. That's
No,
why I was so confused. I was like, what?
trumpetist. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, I
that's what
got you.
it's called when a person plays the trumpet.
Yeah, yeah. Trumpetist, trumpeteer.
Trumpetist.
Go ahead.
Well, now I'm second guessing myself.
No, just go ahead. It's fine.
Okay. Trumpetist Levy struggles with making his own music while a member of Ma Rainey's band.
Yeah. And this is one of those like based on a play, but also based on a real life person because Ma Rainey was a real person, and then they wrote a play about it, and now this is like the play of
Yeah.
it, but put to screen.
We have some accolades to talk about with this movie before we jump into
Yeah,
our
I was
thoughts
gonna
and
say, do we have
everything.
any MCU people? Probably not. No. Right? No.
No. The
Okay.
only other
So
person I recognize, other than Viola Davis, of course, was the actress who played Dussie May.
yeah, Taylor Page.
Yeah. Recognized her only from her most recent movie, Zola. I don't know if
Do you see Zola?
I didn't, but I was intrigued. I
It's
saw the
good.
trailer and I was
It's good.
like, I'm intrigued.
It's interesting.
because
It's the Twitter thread is more interesting, but like it's still good.
I
Like it's
don't know the Twitter thread.
oh, okay. Yeah, no, go in blind then. Go in blind.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are some accolades for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom because it was nominated and won some things. So let's talk
Yeah.
about it. So at the Oscars, as we know, Chadwick Boseman was nominated for Best Actor. Viola Davis was nominated for Best Actress. But they did walk away with some wins for Best Costume Design, Best Hair and Makeup, and they were also nominated for Best Production Design. And at the Golden Globes, both Viola and Chadwick were nominated, and Chadwick did get that win, and his wife did accept it for him on his behalf.
Yep. And the SAG Awards, I think both of them won. I think it was Viola and Chadwick, which
Great.
is cool.
I should have looked into the SAG
No,
Awards.
it's fine. It's because that Oscar race for actress was so wide open because Frances McDormand won the British awards, the BAFTAs, and then Carey Mulligan, I think, won the Critics' Choice for Promising Young Woman. Then Viola Davis won the SAG, and then Andra Day for Billie Holiday won the Golden Globe. So everyone's like, "Who the hell is gonna win?"
It's gonna win the
and then
Oscar.
it ended up being Frances, but that was a tight race. I can't believe that. That was just last year. Oof, this year actually, the race.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think of this?
Honestly, I went into it not knowing that it was a play, and I was
Okay.
like, this movie turned. And then upon learning that it was a play, I was like, the structure of this film now makes so much more sense
Yeah.
because it was. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was just expecting this like classic like coming up story of this like famous like black woman in jazz music making her way through like the 1920s, like her big like come up story, and then like her band members, I guess. Like I don't know, like that's what I was expecting, and that's not what this movie was at all. It took place in one
day. Yeah.
It takes place in one day on one set. All this drama ensues, and I was like, it totally makes sense that this is a play now because like between the monologues and the fast dialogue and just the way it's shot, like it feels like I know it's not, but it just feels like it's all one take. Like it feels like they have so many cameras going at once that they're able to really get reactions and like responses in real time. You know,
feels it, but I think that's what's so interesting is because it is a play. The way they make it cinematic though was impressive to me. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's just like a play. You could have just done a play and filmed it." But like, I think they did a cool thing with the production design. You know, having that basement area and then having like the actual recording area, and then even the streets, the costumes. It won best costumes and it won best hair and makeup. Like they really make it feel cinematic in the way it's shot, to where like you're really honing in on these like really nuanced things, and like the expressions are really up close and they're more subdued, even though the monologues are big and bold. And it's August Wilson, I believe, I think, who wrote it.
Yes, it is.
Because Denzel Washington has said that he has a 10 picture deal with HBO Studios, who produced it. Netflix distributed it, but he has a 10 picture deal starting with Fences, which he did, and now this. And he's going to go through 10 August Wilson plays and adapt them to movies, and he's producing them all. So he produced this, and Viola Davis has starred in both and been nominated for both and won for Fences. But I think it's interesting how he's like going through all these plays and making them for the big screen, because these are
Mm.
stories that I feel like only certain community, like us theater people, know. And even then, August Wilson's a little bit before our time. So even then, like I didn't know this story going in.
Mhm.
And I wish I had, because it is, a very interesting story, a very interesting period of time. Again, with dealing with race, but
Mhm.
also now with music and like the music business and like what it means even within the same race, seeing how there are power dynamics and levels and structures, I thought was interesting. And I'm excited to see more of these like August Wilson adaptations now that I know we're getting 8 more of them over the next
Mhm.
few years, which is a lot. But I hope they keep delivering. What do you think of the movie itself, though? Like the actual, like the story or the performances?
I mean, not a lot happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just, like the main, like, I feel like the main conflict of the play is that they're trying to get just through this one recording so that she can sell records.
Mm-hmm.
And between like the band not getting along, Levy always trying to do his own thing, him like going to hook up with the girl, the nephew who's doing the intro, the poor thing has a stutter. Like it's just one thing after another. Like
Mm-hmm.
Ma Rainey here, I don't want to say, listen, I love me a strong female character and I
Yeah.
totally get it. And I'm like, and I can totally recognize that. I'm like, oh, if she was a man, like no one would even like question it. No one think differently. Like, of course, like there would a Coca-Cola would already be on set if she were a man. Like nobody would try to
Right.
double cross her. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just love how she's like, no, I'm not doing this until I have a Coke. But then at the same time, I'm like, I feel like we don't get a lot of softer moments
Yeah.
with Ma Rainey that
Mm-hmm.
can kind of make her relatable in a
Yeah.
way.
No,
Like I just feel
she's.
like she's this big, larger than life character. She's like, I'm here to get shit done. Like I'm a boss
Mhm.
ass bitch. I'm a girl boss. Like all this stuff. And I'm like, yes, I'm on board. I'm on board. But then like I never get to see any other side of her, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
it's interesting because both her and Chadwick's character Levy are so not selfish, but they're very much like they wanted their way, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why there is such a power clash. Because Levy is so good at what he does, and he has the ability to go on and do whatever he wants, but he
Mm-hmm.
stays because I guess contractually obligated or whatever. But like seeing that power dynamic, like you're not necessarily supposed to root for Ma Rainey. I think that's interesting because she is, very in her ways and like wants it to be her way or the
Mm-hmm.
highway. And when she has the kid do the stutter like over and over and over again, you do get fed up. And like I think
Yeah.
I like to look at this as from his eyes, because I think he's more well rounded of a character, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And she almost as the main antagonist to him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she is a very strong character, but that doesn't mean she's not like bossy and kind of terrible to some people also at the same time. Which I think is interesting, and I think Viola Davis plays it very well too. I mean, she
Mm-hmm.
totally transforms into the character. It's kind of weird, like you
Mm-hmm.
you have to kind of second guess, like, wait, that's Viola Davis. Wow.
Yeah.
Because she just takes on so many different roles and different hairstyles and all that stuff too in all her work. But Chadwick, man, like his monologues, I mean, like that's the candy. Like I go to the movie, I revisit the movie, and I haven't revisited it a bunch, but like I go back and watch certain scenes of this movie to watch his monologues, because
Mm-hmm.
it literally, he just evokes so much. He just is so captivating to watch, and like this is like the movie itself. Like I get what you're saying, like it's a play, so like it feels very theatrical, but
Mm-hmm.
like he makes it feel so grounded and honest, but also
Mm-hmm.
theatrical all at once. Like there's the two monologues. There's the first one where he's talking about his father and the his mother and all that stuff, and then there's the second one where he kind of goes completely balls to the wall, and like that's what ends up in his demise also. But like
Uh-huh.
it's just so interesting. It's not his demise though. It's the other guy, right? Or
Toledo.
does he die too or no? I can't remember. No,
Does Chadwick die?
no, he doesn't. He kills
Uh
someone.
he
You're right.
killed the guy.
Yeah,
Oh my god, dope.
I haven't rewatched this because I watched it just a few months ago for Oscar stuffs. But yeah, this is the one I didn't rewatch. But yeah,
I watched it and I was like, that movie was nothing that I thought it was gonna be. I wrote that down in
mhm,
my notes. I was like, wow, this is nothing that I thought it was gonna be. Like
right,
to have him at the end stab this poor elderly man who
hmm
just accidentally stepped on his shoe.
yeah,
I was upset. And it's
yeah,
interesting that you said this about Viola, but I really felt like this was the movie where I was like, you don't watch Chadwick Boseman. Like, you
No, I agree.
watch
I
the
agree.
character. Like,
Yeah.
he completely embodied this character from like head to toe. The voice, the physicalities, the costume definitely helped him out. Like, it was
Mhm.
just, and I
It's
also
such a
love,
different energy from him because
yeah.
he's usually a little softer, a little bit more gentle, but here
Hmm.
he was like he was ready to fight back. He was doing quick jabs instead of like big slow punches, you know.
And even though this is obviously a more theatrical character, like he, it's a bigger character to put, I feel like, on screen, it still feels like it's so grounded in
Mhm.
realism that
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I believe this is a real
Yeah.
guy. I believe this is a dude.
Yeah, I love his performance here, and you're right. He does transform to the role. I think Viola Davis, it was more of like a physical transformation too, which is why I
Hmm.
brought it up. But like this one, definitely even like he just transforms into this role as well. Like every single word he says, like you linger on. And I did watch it with subtitles the first time, which helped because like the dialogue is snappy at times, but and it's hard to follow at times. But like I really just every ounce of what he was saying, I was just like, oh, like drawn in. Every
Yeah.
word drew
Yep.
me in even more. And this is unfortunate because I think Anthony Hopkins' performance in The Father is exceptional. So it's very tough to compare these two because that's what will ultimately beat him at the Oscars. But like
Right.
this was a very, even though he didn't win for it, I think this is a good one to end his career on because it is just such an iconic breadth of work, and he just gave his all. Like it almost feels like this. He knew it. It's weird. It almost feels like he knew it was his last, so he just like let it all out on the
Mm,
table. And I know
yeah.
he didn't know it was his last. He might have thought it might have been, because like I said with Benedict Cumberbatch, he always treats every role like it is his last.
Hmm.
But this one really shows.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what it is about it. It's just it's got that spark that I just love. Even if the movie isn't as great as some of the other ones, maybe I think his role is just like unlike anything we've seen from him.
And I also love the actor who played Cutler, Coleman
Mm-hmm.
Domingo.
Coleman Domingo, yeah, also
Oh,
in Zola.
he's great. Also in
Yeah,
Zola.
yeah.
Also, my first experience with him was with Euphoria. I don't know if you've seen that
I
show,
have
but
not
he
seen that.
does an outstanding job in that. Even if you don't want to watch the show, Dale, there's an hour-long special of just him doing a scene with Zendaya, and it's like they're two characters talking about. They're
No,
both.
I definitely want to watch the whole thing. Yeah, it's
You should
just
watch
like
it, but
it's on my list.
if you love Coleman Domingo, then you should just watch like the hour long Euphoria special. I'm not sure. It does have a name, but I'm not sure of it
Cool.
right now at this moment. But
Well,
it's
check it
just
out,
like
people.
it's just this great conversation between him
Yeah.
and an MCU actor, Zendaya. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
he's just fantastic. Whenever I
Yeah.
see him, I get excited. He was also just in Candyman. That's what I saw.
Yes. 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 Oh my God, he was good in that.
Yeah.
That movie, I like that movie. Yeah, I think just the actual play nature of it does make some moments feel like okay, like it's dragging on a bit, but like every time he's on screen, I think he just really eats it up, and I do like the sessions where they're all recording together because like there's just so many different like underlying subtext between all these characters, and some of them let it out and some of them
Yeah.
bottle it up, and it's just interesting to see how these different dynamics between all these actors work together. Because it is so it's just such a different work. Like it's not your typical movie, and I like that about it.
Yeah, my first note that I just wrote, I don't know how far into the movie I was when I wrote this, but just the first thing I wrote from this movie was watching him just makes me smile.
Yeah, even when he is doing things that are not unlikable, but he's like he's playing a much more, I don't even know the word, not rugged, but like not even
Going through
scrappy.
something more like intense. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
like
trying to
yeah, it's a
say?
much more
Like,
intense character. It's not your soft, gentle. It's not Jackie Robinson. It's not.
mm-hmm.
It's a much more. It's also a much more exuberant, extroverted presence. Just like the character itself is very like big. He's almost like a showman. I mean, he is a showman. He's a trumpetist. Um, but yeah, like he brings so much to the role. I love it. I mean, I recommend this movie to people because of that performance. Not because I think they're gonna like the movie, not because they're even gonna like the visuals and the costumes and stuff, but because his performance is so good. Yeah, it's just a masterclass. It really is.
Trumpeters.
There it is. A trumpeter. There it is. He's a trumpeter. I was gonna say trumpetist. Sounds
Trumpetist.
yeah.
I don't
I don't know.
know. Fine.
And the music's good
Trumpeter.
too. Like I like the style of music. Like I just love that era and like that
Mm-hmm.
type of music. Like I'm always like tapping my feet.
Oh,
The
and
intro.
the
Yeah.
ending with they had the whole white band trying to do it, and I was like, look how many white people they need. They're not even doing what like anywhere near close the talent and performance that just this small band of black guys was doing just like scenes before. They have this whole room of white people, and the performance is just like not even close to matching it. And I was like, this is gross.
I know. Any last words before we get to our score?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up for me.
Yeah. I give it an 8 because I just love his performance so much, and I think like if I were to say, hey guys, check out Chadwick Boseman and something, I'd always recommend this because it's just his work is just so good in it. But I'm assuming you're a little lower. What'd you give it?
No, I gave it an 8 too.
Oh, Kels, we're simpatico. Yeah, so you would recommend 42 and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, obviously, because you gave them both 8s. This would be the one I would definitely be like, yo, check this out if you like Chadwick. But yeah, like good movies. I mean, he's such a good actor, and I think it's just such a shame that he left us so soon. But like this work is definitely a great way to show like the talent he had and just like his strength as an actor and his versatility. He has so much versatility across these 3 roles itself, but then even more work. Like obviously in the MCU with Black Panther, but then you have other roles, which I'm blanking on that I had written down. Oh, Get On Up, when he's playing, like a musician, like an actual singer, and the rasp that he takes the voice. Marshall, where he plays a lawyer. And he's kind of got a much more solid exterior. Like it's such an interesting filmography, and I just wish his movies were more big mainstream, not just Black Panther, because I think just his work should not be unnoticed. And I think besides Black Panther and I guess 42, I don't think a lot of people know his other work, and it's sad.
Defy Bloods.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that because he's a smaller role in it, but he's a big part of it. Yeah, that's a great role. Have you seen that?
No. I'm just looking.
Yeah,
I'm looking at his movies right now on the internet.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, Get On Up, Marshall, Defy Bloods.
Message from the King. I don't know if you know that one.
I've never seen that one. A Draft Day. He has a small role in Draft Day. Another sports movie. Yeah,
I noticed
just
that.
A great actor.
Yeah, all of his things before 42 were like all like TV things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how like his first like huge film role is like the most iconic black athlete until Michael Jordan. Like it's crazy. And I would even say definitely most revolutionary even beyond Jordan. Jackie Robinson. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. So that's that.
That's our Chadwick Boseman episode. Movie Club.
Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening to our book talk and our Game of Thrones talk. Kelsey, why don't you tell everyone who our next Marvel-ous actor is we will be covering next week on this Avengers Movie Club series.
Oh, I get to do the honors? Okay.
Yeah, of course. I'll announce the movies. You announce the actors.
All right. So the next MCU actor we're doing for our Avengers Movie Club is Brie Larson.
That's right. And we decided, we'll go back to our originals because we started with Scarlett and with Chris Evans, but like let's go like even further back and let's go to like the 70s with Captain Marvel. And then we'll kind of work our way back to where we are now with our Robert Downey Jr.'s and our Chris Hemsworth's and our Jeremy Renner's, our Samuel L. Jackson's. I don't know what I'm saying. But those movies for Brie Larson are 2010's Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which was her first like huge breakout. Yes. I would say. Then we have 2013's Short Term 12, her first like big leading role that caught a lot of attention. And then, of course, her Oscar-winning performance in 2015's Room, starring Jacob Tremblay, who is also in Luca. Full circle to our Oscar talk before.
There you go.
Yeah, really good movies. And then if you want to check out other ones, we might do like, if we are running this podcast for years and years and we need things to talk about, we'll like do a part 2 of these actors. Like we can do Chadwick's other movies, we could do Brie's other movies, but like if you want to check out other Brie works, like 21 Jump Street's great. Obviously Unicorn Store, she directed it, she stars in it. Glass Castle is all right. Just Mercy is good. It also has Michael B. Jordan in it. A lot of great movies. 13 Going on 30. She's just in there. She's not a lead role, but that's
what is that group of girls called? They're called like the Six Chicks or something. That's like the name of the group.
Good job. It's my favorite rom-com, so I should be able to pull that name. Let me look just to make sure because it would bug me if I didn't know. I think it's Six Chicks. Yep. Wow. Good job. You nailed that.
Schmodown, hire me. Get
Schmodown
me in
Higher School.
there.
I went to the Schmodown live event last week. It was so
Yes,
cool.
still. How was that?
It was great.
I've
I
been
met your
meaning
boy
to ask you
Frankie
that.
Alvarez. I met
know.
Christian and Mark. It was really cool. I got to see just a bunch of competitors play.
So you just watched like two people compete like live?
Well, they did 2 matches. So they did like an undercard match between downtown Griffey Nooms and Josh Horowitz. And then they did a main title event for the belt with the reigning champion, the very first female champion, Marisol McKee, was defending her belt against Chance Ellison. And I will not spoil the results of that.
Okay.
I'll send you a link so you can watch it. It's public now.
And
But
this is just general movie trivia, wasn't like
this was general,
inner geekdom.
Yep, this is general. So yeah, if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, there's the movie trivia showdown. It has singles, which is just like general movie trivia 1-on-1. There's teams, which is general movie trivia, but it's 2-on-2. There's inner geekdom, which is 1-on-1, but it's like nerd stuff like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Transformers, and then Star Wars is its own division because it's there's so many Star Wars little nuggets of trivia.
I feel like the MCU should have its own at this point.
I think it could, yeah. The only
Because that's
difference
the
is
one
that
thing. If like I did an
yeah,
if I did like an inter geekdom like thing, I would have to know Lord of the Rings. I have no desire to watch a Lord of the Rings movie. Like I'd have to know all this stuff, and I'm like,
I kind of want to do like an Andy Serkis movie club now to get you to watch.
Fine, Dill. Should I read the books first?
I haven't read the books. I think they're so good that like just watch them.
Okay.
You can even like watch it with me, Dave and Landon, because we watched them. We watched through the whole series basically like we did it last year, and I think we're gonna do it again this year. We started 2 of them earlier in the year, but they're so much fun. Like check them out, they're great.
All right.
But yeah,
Showdown's
great.
Then.
Showdown's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I want to compete, but like watching some of the competitions and like the trivia questions, I'm like, I don't know if I could stack up. But Kelsey, you could definitely stack up with Marvel trivia for sure. Yeah, if they ever had a Marvel league.
Let's put it to the test still.
Yeah. How about
nudge,
this?
Nudge, wink, wink.
We are going to later down the line, maybe this year, maybe even the beginning of 20. Why don't we start off 2022 with this? We are going to start off 2022 with a trivia competition between Kelsey and I will find another 1 or 2 Marvel experts will come and who will face off against Kelsey. I will create some questions. I will not tell Kelsey the questions. I will not tell anyone the questions. I will make them as I see fit. We're going to do like 8 questions or we'll do 10 questions, just general trivia. Hold up your whiteboards answering. Then we'll do like a wheel where you'll spin a wheel and get a specific category. And then we'll have some fun and we'll do some other stuff. But
I would love that.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna introduce some Marvel trivia, and if it goes well, we'll make it a regular thing here.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to start training.
It won't always be you though. Sometimes we'll have to let other people take us.
Well, if I win the belt, I defended. No.
Yeah, I guess so. So if you think you can do Marvel trivia, like let us know in the comments, or go if you're listening to audio, go to YouTube and let us know in the comments if you want to take us or take Kelsey on, because I'm not gonna. I'll be the commissioner. I'm not gonna compete for Marvel trivia because I don't study these as religiously. I do a podcast on it, but I don't study religiously enough. But
all right, I don't study the movies. I just have
you rewatch them a lot.
I rewatch them. Okay, I rewatch them a lot, but I also just have like a crazy memory. Like it's ridiculous. The stuff I remember.
So we'll see. That'll be a fun thing to look forward to in 2022 because it's coming up. It's like 2 months. So you have 2 months or 3 months, I guess, to train, to get ready, to get in the zone, and I will find. I'll
start my rewatch now.
I'm thinking of getting 2 other competitors to face off against you, but we'll see how that goes. We'll have like our first guests too. It'll be a blast. I already have some ideas in mind of people I want to ask. So, Kelsey, thank you so much. As always, this is fun. Plug your social media. Go ahead.
Alrighty. Thank you, Dill. You can find me on Instagram, Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can find me on TikTok, Cause13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cause Productions.
There you go. You can find me at Dylan_Randazzo on Twitter and on Letterboxd, where I'm doing a 31 Days of Halloween. I'm reviewing a movie a day. I'm watching a movie a day about Halloween or about spooky season and stuff like that.
Nice.
So go check out my reviews there and check me out here on the Dill Pickle Movie Network on YouTube. I'm getting lots of views for some of these Film Fest reviews, which I'm very, very happy about. And the subscribers are growing day by day. So people, if you like this video, subscribe, please. please. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're on audio, please subscribe to that podcast or follow the podcast. Give us a 5-star review if you think we deserve it. If we don't, give us any star review, but keep it nice, please. Give us constructive criticism, not mean criticism. But yeah, every single listen for the podcast builds up revenue and stuff, but like the YouTube video is not monetized yet. But if we keep on this trajectory that we're going on, by the end of 2022, I'm hoping we'll be making some moolah on this, because we do put in a lot of work. But thank you guys so much for watching, for listening. Yeah, subscribe to that channel, subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you next time for some Brie Larson talk. See you next time.